Welcome back to Cannabis Act with Jason Wilcox. It is, god damn it, March the 4th already. April 20th, only 29 days away. If my math is right, I don't know how many days there are this month, but I'm going to jump off the top of my head and just say 28 days away. Whatever it is. 420 is on the horizon, as with all the other cannabis events that are going to go off across the country. And we're just going to start getting back into what we do best, is coming on the show, talking and engaging with the guests. There will be some changes. I popped on today really to talk about, I had a bump in with Mr. Jerry Martin yesterday, and as some people who have watched the online exchanges, they, you know, it doesn't always make sense to people why confusion and you know, people start talking. A lot of people like to talk shit, and they don't really actually know shit. Then there's the people that actually talk with the lawyers and, you know, and do their research. So it was odd to bump into Jerry, and it was interesting because you know, Jerry came up and, you know, just asked me calmly and respectfully, and just like, you know, I was back to him in a manner that was to say, what is the confusion, what's going on? And I simply said, your constitutional charter challenge has not been filed. And that's my only concern, is that it was misleading because we did a fundraiser. And he understood that, you know, he's like, but it is getting filed. And I'm like, okay, when it gets filed, put the statement of claim up, and then, you know, I'll be happy to get behind your case. Any case that's going to change a law, I don't want to see any man go to jail. But at the same time, you know, I'm not going to allow people to misinform. Now, some people say it's not your job. You know, I think it is your job. It's your job to stop the government if they're hurting patients. It's your job if people are living off other people's donations. It's your job to do whatever to intervene and stop something. But if you're wrong, you should say you're wrong. Now, I'll put a call into Paul Lewin. Paul Lewin can't talk about his client. So Mr. Martin has said that he has given Mr. Lewin permission to speak with me, you know, regarding his case. And we'll... basically, that will solidify for me. I believe, Paul, if what Jerry is saying is true, then Paul will be filing some a constitutional challenge with respect to that letter on his website that's quite old. I'm not sure what website it's on. I haven't been able to do the link backs. But again, I'm not one to shoot down lawyer-client privilege. After going through Allard, lawyer-client privilege is hard because the lawyers can't say a goddamn thing. So no matter how much you want them to protect you, they got to be careful not to break the bar and breach lawyer-client confidentiality. They can't do that. So it makes it very hard without the client actually putting you on the file. So, you know, there was a little confusion. So I just want people out there to know that the cannabis culture is not dead. And the more that they pit us against each other, you know, the more they're going to win. I thought about scenarios and how they could have played out, you know, in this store. And thank God Jerry was mature enough, at least, to come and approach it at a mature level, as any of us should in the cannabis culture. The last thing you do is go start smashing up stores. That's the last thing we need in the newspaper. You know, the king of compassion and the leader of the coalition scrapping it out in the candle store. I mean, just stupid shit. You know, so again, I just want to give a shout out to again our culture, because it's not just here with me or Jerry, or, you know, I'm not going to get into other names, but there's people all across this country that have character assassination attacks, that have misinformation attacks launched on them daily. And I think to myself, well, what if somebody had gotten Jerry to go far enough, or me, that unfortunately something bad happened in the store and charges got laid? It'd be in the newspaper today, that's for sure. But on top of that, I'd be out my car. I'd be facing new charges. All my associates would distance themselves from me. I would no longer be able to have a grow license, because now they're going to investigate what I was doing at the store and what I'm doing, you know, with certain things and with certain things in my car. So with that being said, there's 101 reasons that I want to just say thank you to Jerry Martin for not taking that stupid, crazy, anarchist approach and wanting to do something stupid on camera in front of a bunch of witnesses. and cause an investigation. So thank you. And also it's good that, because we followed up with a phone call afterwards, and we were able to talk it out to the extent that I'm just waiting to hear from Paul Lewin, so I can actually get behind a case again that I know is a legitimate case once it's filed. It's like Mr. Conroy's case. Arguably, it's not filed. The only difference is I have a letter from him that says he's filing this case and he's putting it together. So you know, when you dig into the details of certain situations with different people, it matters. Anyway, enough about that. I just wanted to touch on it because people wonder what happens when these guys see each other, you know. And I can tell you, I'm just glad it wasn't in a parking lot, because it would have been bad for other people. But because it was in a store, it was a good thing. And because of the way it was approached to be dealt with, it was dealt with politically rather than violently. And those are choices we all can make, because we're all from the underground. And those of us that have worked with stacks, we know what we're able to do. We know what a stack can do. You know, we don't even have to get our hands dirty. So it's that sort of shit where I say thank you to our culture, because the cannabis culture has never been a violent culture. We've never been known as a violent culture. And it's the last thing we do is act violently unless we have to. You know, self-defense, I get it. I'll support that person. But other than that, there's no reason to be doing that kind of stuff. I don't know why I'm not going live to YouTube. Anyway, enough about that. We'll see how this plays out. You know, if I'm wrong, I'm going to say I'm wrong. And in this case, I'm not wrong. I said the case wasn't filed because I know how to check the DOJ. And if you go to the Department of Justice, you can see any case that's been filed in the country. But that's just what you learn working with lawyers. But anyway, you can go look this stuff up for yourselves, guys, as well. This is stuff that matters, because honestly, Jerry, when he was doing his Compassion Club, did a lot of good work out of Alberta. You know, with White Rock and with his dispensary, and he did donate money to the coalition, and he donated a lot of money to different causes for whatever reason and for whatever means. That's his business, but he did. So nothing can be taken away from that. And myself, having been on the receiving end of being accused of stealing money or misappropriating funds, you know, when nobody realized that it takes 3 signatures, maybe I was a little over. Maybe it isn't my job to step in and say, hey, dude, what you're doing is wrong, or possibly wrong. Or maybe you should change that to the defense fund until your constitutional challenge is filed. If you're, you know, we need to find out. And maybe I should have just kept my mouth shut and said, just let this play out. This is none of my business. So it's a conflictual spot for me as a reporter, as a when I say a reporter, I mean like a internet reporter, online reporter.
Cannabis news.
So that's just it. Cannabis Canada, 11-year-old cannabis company, and we need to report on these things based on what we have. Now, last year when we raised $8,000 for Jerry's GoFundMe account, all I wanted to see was that money go to Paul Lewin, and there was reasons I pulled myself away. There was reasons we left. And unfortunately, if you surround yourself with a bunch of shit rats, they're going to convince you to be a shit rat and spend money you shouldn't spend because it's not yours to spend. It's a donation for the lawyer. Every fucking dollar, dime, cent should be counted and given to the lawyer. Nobody gets snippets unless your board of directors approves it. But there is no... You okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
No, seriously. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Well, seriously.
I'm
You
okay.
fucking slid bad.
I'm okay.
No, seriously, you okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
I'm just ready for a coffee.
Don't worry about it. I see you go down.
Oh, come
You
on to the
okay?
show. Yeah, I'm fine. It's okay, go.
I'm more worried about you than I am about the stupid show. It's just an online fucking YouTube show, for fuck's sakes.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, it's good.
I told you it's that fucking cleaner. It makes the floors fucking slippery as hell. It's dangerous. That's how I broke my damn wrist. I broke my wrist in the bedroom with that exact same fucking type of fall.
Every floor cleaner in the world and nothing works.
Oh shit. Now I lost my camera completely. Hang on, don't worry.
Something come out?
Yeah, no, it unplugged. It's okay. Don't worry. I'm more worried about you at this point. Just bear with me for a sec, guys. Vicky had a tumble over all my equipment here, and we've had a few plugs pulled out.
I tripped over something, so.
I apologize again.
Yeah, my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
Fuck me. What the fuck, man? Shit, guys. I don't know what to say to you.
Oh my God. It's killing me.
There we go. Man. Yeah, we bought this cleaner, and I don't know, y'all, it's not even a joke because I broke my wrist, and that's why I take it so serious. I actually snapped my wrist and it put me out of commission. It sucks when you get when you fall and you break your wrist or you hurt something, it puts you out of commission. And literally right here behind the studio in the condo, Vicky she's reaching over the counter, but she fell, and we have a big, huge 1 liter mason jar of infused oil sitting right there too. So there's a few good things that didn't smash. And most importantly, she appears to be okay. She definitely hit the ground hard.
Yeah, I gotta sit down.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucked up my knee.
Oh, you definitely fucked it up. I heard you hit hard. I apologize, guys. Just bear with us. I should have went to commercial, but I didn't know what to do. I wanted to get up and help her first. And this is why I need a studio.
Yes.
See, so any investors, anybody out there want to help, come in and help. This is where I need a studio, because it's very hard for us to run a studio in our house and try to live our lives, and also do a productive show that doesn't piss you guys off. So, that's out there to the open. There's a lot of investors going into social media and looking at different things, and I'm just tired of shows getting fucking scaled down. I lose a lot of people real quick because they're like, what the hell, and people recognize there's a live show, and in this case it's an accident, but it's hard here in general, with a family, or if I have friends come over, or somebody bangs on the door, it interrupts the show. So, but that's what studios are for. Right now it's just a little home thing. I'm trying to get into YouTube here, guys, to talk with you ladies. Okay, so I'm not sure why I can't get into this, but I'll figure this out here. Just give me a couple secs. CBD, we got stocked up on our CBD. Now I know this doesn't look like a lot, but there's actually in here 2 ounces. So you wouldn't think that. It's a very heavy molecule. Then I'll be dabbing some CBD. Again, this is just amazing. I'm just really happy to have found this company, to be honest. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna take a dab of that CBD. That'll help.
I'm going to try and get on here. I don't know if this has been shared. If guys, administrators, anybody that's with the Cannabis in Canada group administration, can you share it into the coalition group for me? Into the Cannabis in Canada.
It's already been shared in there.
Okay. Can you share it around to your groups? Can you share it around to your groups, please, that that you attend on a regular? Please. Please don't spam other groups. Oh, fuck. I'm going to go to commercial for a minute, guys. I'll be back. Here's some fucking drone footage from 420.
Smoking hot ever since 2 U.S. states legalized marijuana. The company, called Green Planet, carries everything anyone would need to grow plants, any kind of plants, indoors. In Colorado, it is now legal to have 6 marijuana plants in a secure area.
smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. Smoke, smoke, smoke. Smoke weed like Bob Marley. Getting high and I like to party. Mary Jane stimulates the brain. She blow the smoke, take away the pain. My dream house in my greenhouse with a flat screen and a big couch. Half baked with a big bomb. Smoke it all till the weed's gone. Smell good, my weed strong. My money stack and my weed's long. Smoking Keisha, Wiz Khalifa, Snoop Dogg. When I'm around the reef, it's beautiful. When I roll up, it's like fine art when I burn it up. Smoking loud, we gon' turn it up. Smoking loud, we gon' turn it up. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. Put your lighters up, let's spark one. Get high, let's blaze up. It was a long day, we lighting weed, we smoking, we don't give a fuck. Roll up, no stress, smoke weed, no protest. 420, we live, I roll it up in my weed ride. Put your lighters up, let's spark one. Getting high, let's blaze up. It was a long day, we lighting weed, we smoking, we don't give a fuck. Roll up, no stress, smoke weed, no protest. 420, we live, I roll it up in my weed ride. Grinding all this weed, we gon' have to break this up. Mary Jane's my main bitch, won't you come get fucked up? Oh, you don't smoke no weed, well I can't say what's up. In memory, your whack ass, when I light this up. Rolling it up when I'm blowing the weed. Smelling the smoke and you know that it's me. Puffing on good and you know who it be. Smoke like a hippie, come fuck with a G. Light it up when I blaze one. Light it up when I blaze one. We gon' smoke piff when that haze come. Smoke piff when that haze come. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. Put your lighters up, let's spark one. Getting high, let's blaze up. It was a long day, we lighting weed, we smoking, we don't give a fuck. Roll up, no stress, smoke weed, no protest. 420, we live, I roll it up in my weed ride. Put your lighters up, let's spark one. Getting high, let's blaze up. It was a long day, we lighting weed, we smoking, we don't give a fuck. Roll up, no stress, smoke weed, no protest. 420, we live, I roll it up in my weed ride. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed. We be smoking weed, no stems and no seeds. We about to smoke and I'll be lighting up that weed.
All right, welcome back to Cannabis in Canada. Shit. Oh, what a day. As always, we need a studio. I need to get into a studio or I need to get off this show, one or the other, because one of them are going to kill me. You know, really, it's the people you have around you at all times, whether it draws positivity or negativity out of you. Just remember that. It's the people you keep. And that will determine a lot of your business. It will determine a lot of your outcomes. It's one thing I learned through the coalition, regional dynamics, patient dynamics, different people. You learn to realize real quick. So just keep that part in mind. Oh man! All right. A lot of time out there. Thanks, Langley Brendan. No, trust me, we do our best, or at least I do my best here. There's no really we. There's an I and there's a CNC, and then there's a push that's 11 years old that I've been pushing for 11 years, including Allard, including suing the government for privacy, including taking on the Abbotsford police and successfully suing them for cutting down my plans. That's who I am. I know who the fuck I am. That's the motherfucking problem that I'm getting pissed off with, is knowing what I've done. Hey, activism is action. I was talking about this yesterday. Are you done?
No.
That's like the 5th. I apologize to the show. This is why you can't do a show in a house. Respect goes a long way too, but shit, who gives a respect? I don't know, these millennials these days too, even my own daughter, no respect, just lack of. And you can put 11 years into a show, struggling, fighting, pushing, punching. I'm giving all I've got, every blood, sweat, and tear, every nightmare, everything I fucking got. I put into this motherfucking show for 11 years for y'all, and because it's an excellent hobby for me. But when motherfuckers start talking shit, talking like they done this, think they can talk you down, think they can run you down, think they know better because they're on the scene all the 2 minutes. It's like, motherfuckers, really? Step the fuck back. Know your lane. I know mine. Know that much. And I stand in my lane. I back up what I say, and I actually do what I actually say I'm going to do. And the one thing I try not to do is infuse anger in other patients as much as I can. So anger at the government maybe, but anger amongst each other is not productive. The cannabis culture, if they could turn us into gangsters again, they would. The government would love to turn us into bad people, turn us into negative people that have to live negative lives. No, that's called being medical. There's people that have medical problems, and they unfortunately get really upset, and they have whatever that medical problem is. Like for me, 25 years living with HIV, watching my friends die like fucking birds hitting the fucking window, you know, only times 20, you know, going to funerals, watching them die, counting Christmas trees until it's my turn, only to be told, hey, we're gonna actually cure HIV and you're gonna live the rest of your life, motherfucker. It's like, what? The fuck did I just waste 25 years on then? Thank God I went back to school and got a diploma when I had my daughter 19 years ago. Because I have that diploma to fall back on if they ever yank my disability, because they say HIV is no longer a terminal illness. Now, I don't know after 25 years the psychological damage that's been done to my head of counting Christmas trees. When you're told you have 6 months to live and your friends are dying all around you and candles are burning every fucking place you go because somebody died, it's a spooky time to live through, so you start counting Christmases. Every Christmas is your last Christmas. It's why Christmas still means so much to me today. Real recognizes real. Other patients out there, if you fought cancer, you fought anything terminal, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Counting Christmas trees, at least I'm proud to say I've been able to stop. And I am breathing. This is just raw emotion coming out. Real emotion. Yesterday I had a choice. I could be Jason of 20 years ago that would smash a guy through a fucking wall, take the fucking charges, and make sure he didn't make it to court. That would have been the old Jason. I'm very fucking proud to be able to say that I was calmly able to deal with the situation, walk the fuck out of there, and get the fuck home, knowing that I've got fucking, you know, just a few ounces of CBD sitting in my fucking car, pens sitting on my fucking driver's seat. You know, yeah, get in a fight in the store so the cops can come, launch an investigation. Oh, Mr. Wilcox, where'd the CBD come from? You know? That's how you fucking start domino effect investigations. Don't fucking fight in public. Or go to the fucking parking lot. Fuck. I do need to breathe. I'm going to cut off here for another minute. And here's Mr. Kurt Tusaw. He's talking about Canadian driving laws. Mr. Jack Lloyd, who's taken over from Mr. Tusaw. He now works for Cannabis Growth. And we wish him all his success here from Cannabis in Canada. Man, Kurt's a hero of mine. He's like a superhero. So I'm going to put him on here and let him talk a little bit about driving. I'm going to do a couple dabs of CBD, try and calm myself down. And this is the thing, and this is the problem with being sick. You see, real recognizes fucking real. If you're sick, you'll see it come out like this. It'll manifest itself in ugly ways. Or I could be the chameleon and start to pretend that I'm happy and lie to y'all and be a fucking hustler. No, I'm going to keep it real on CNC. We've always kept it real. We're always going to fucking tell you, at least I'm always going to tell you, how the fuck I feel. And I tell you right now, I'm pretty proud of Jerry Martin, considering he's supposed to be so crazy, not popping off in a fucking store. And neither of us had to take any charges. Nobody had to get fucking into any stupid situation. The only stupid situations arise from fucking other people around that seem to fucking like to incite violence or incite fucking fights. Like it should be happening. And it's like, you know, you guys are real troublesome for the cannabis culture when you want to ensue and incite violence inside a fucking store on camera, giving the police all the evidence they need for who is the predator and who is the fucking who is the victim. And if you wonder what I'm saying by that, it's predatory action. So whoever chases who is the predator, and you're going to get charged. If you're the victim, you'll be the one getting chased. Just remember that. And if you're both banging, you both go charged and you both go to the cells. Recognize that. It's real. See you guys in a bit.
There's two streams of thought there, right? There's C-45, which is the Cannabis Act, and C-46, which deals with impaired driving. And not just cannabis, but other forms of impaired driving. Here's my view. I don't think I've been under 2 nanograms a milliliter of THC metabolite in my blood since I was 15 years old. Right? At no point. And you know, I say that because it's funny, but I say that because it's also true. And I think you could test somebody, you know, when they wake up first thing in the morning, that is a medical cannabis consumer, and I'm a medical cannabis consumer, that is always going to be over that threshold. And so what you do is you effectively criminalize an entire class of people based on their choice of medicine that you don't do with other medicines. You know, we're not going to people and saying, well, you've got, you know, 2 nanograms per milliliter of codeine metabolite in your system from the pill you took to help you sleep last night. But we could make up an imaginary number that has nothing to do with impairment and take people off the road as a result of that. And I think, you know, when you're talking about a very privacy intrusive thing, going into people's blood in a forcible way to seize their blood in order to test it, and the evidence that's yielded from that is not relevant to the issue to be decided, which is, was that person impaired? Because there's no science linking these arbitrary numbers to any level of impairment. Very much unlike alcohol, where there's a great deal of science that we can rely on. I think you've gone too far. And I think the courts are going to find that. I think the courts are going to find that the government's gone too far on C-46, and that those per se limits, at least, will be found to be unconstitutional. And there's, you know, this will warm your heart, there's momentum building to do a test case. There's been at least one prominent figure from the LP world, Chuck Raffici, who's publicly said he'll put the first $25,000 into a test case. I've talked to a couple of the impaired lawyers out there that do drug and alcohol impaired driving for a living. They're interested in taking this on. So, you know, we could be building a team to challenge that as well. You know, with C-45, the Cannabis Act, philosophically, I think that the government took the wrong approach by creating a criminal enforcement scheme with exemptions to create legal activity. You know, I think that that's kind of backwards. I think it should have been a legal scheme with some exemptions, limited exemptions for certain types of criminal activity. But I understand why they did it. I mean, from a jurisdictional standpoint, the government, federal government, has criminal law power jurisdiction. They don't necessarily have the jurisdiction to regulate cannabis if it's not within a public safety or health context. And so they maybe didn't have a choice in their approach. I do appreciate that the Cannabis Act does a few things with the penalty structure that are positive. Eliminates mandatory minimum sentencing. People forget today, despite some court decisions finding unconstitutionality, but you can still have a mandatory minimum sentence for 6 marijuana plants in this country. You know, the fact that you'll be able to grow 4 legally is a huge step forward per household. The fact that you'll be able to possess 30 grams of cannabis in public is a huge step forward. The fact that you'll be able to store an unlimited amount of cannabis in private is a massive step forward. All of those things make it harder for police officers to get warrants. All of those things make it harder for enforcement. And much of it signals just sort of a different direction that I think will permeate through policing culture, which we've already seen in British Columbia over the last few years. Massive declines in enforcement. I think that's a trend that we're going to stay on. They've also lowered the maximum sentence for certain of the more serious trafficking offenses in cannabis. Currently, trafficking more than 3 kilos of cannabis still has a maximum of life in prison. Under C-45, it's 14 years. Is that too much? Of course that's too much. That's ridiculous. Nobody gets the maximum. I mean, I tell people you could sail a tanker truck of hash into Vancouver Harbor and you're not going to get life in prison, even though that's the maximum penalty, right? That doesn't happen. But it does have ripple effects. The maximum penalty of 14 years disqualifies accused persons from certain outcomes. The flip side of that, though, is that the federal government has made it a Crown option to proceed by summary conviction in every Cannabis Act offense. And so the Crown, either on its own initiative at the beginning of a prosecution or through deal making as you defend these cases.
All right, welcome back to Cannabis in Canada. Namaste, or whatever the fuck they say in yoga. Honestly, sometimes you just get freaking riled up, but you know what? This is a medical program. It's a medical live show. It's where patients talk to patients. It's where we keep it real, and I'm a little more real than others. I don't rant a lot today. I'm gonna do my best to not keep ranting. I'm gonna keep dabbing. I put some CBD here. You'll see in this container, and I'm just gonna dab on this. It actually does bring the anxiety down. The problem is, it's sort of like it takes your anxiety down, and then all of a sudden, boom! It feels like it just. I should do it the other way. It feels like it brings your anxiety down, and then all of a sudden, it comes back up again within 20 minutes, like other dabs. It's why we probably dab every 10 minutes or 20 minutes, but it is what it is. I definitely had to calm my ass down. I can get very radical with my posts. I can get very radical with my actions. I restrained the federal government of Canada, put them on trial, kicked their ass, and got $780,000 back for doing it. At least enough to pay my attorneys. It wasn't me that got the money back, but rather my attorney costs were covered. So what that meant was that I didn't have to sit here begging y'all to keep paying for a trial that happened 4 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever the victory was in Allard. So that's important. But guys, let's talk Rosin diamonds. Let's talk life. Let's talk. In that video, you might have noticed some old footage. I wanted to go way back to where I started. That was going back to, I think, 2007, the RV Barron case, Matt Barron case. That was 2007 or 2008 that I filmed that. You'll see in the middle there that, believe it or not, that's Phil Lucas when he was younger, and he was a medical patient himself at that time. I'm not going to disclose his personal ailments. That's his business. He has since fixed himself. So, but that being said, he has always been my hero. He was my mentor. I went to Ottawa for the first time with him, and had a chance to work on a committee that was reviewing the MMAR, not for its constitutional validity, but rather for just reviewing the program in general for how it dispenses to people. And this was funded and overseen by CAS, the Canadian AIDS Society. So that's where I come in, the HIV positive representative for BC. But whatever, it was my first step into the big arena. where I could get in with the big boys and actually get my voice on paper. And you can look up this document. It's oh shit, it's been so long now. I've got such a long cannabis curriculum vitae. But anyway, in that, I'm not going to go on about that, but in that video, you would have seen the old footage was Phil Lucas and then Matt Barron. You guys might know him as a House of the Great Gardener. He's went all around the world now. Well, he was the main grower for the Vancouver Island Compassion Club Society at the time. Very good, and he ran a local hydroponic store. And when he got charged, he was facing a lot of years with Big Bubba in the penitentiary, if you know what I mean. He was honestly facing hard time. And when the judge convicted him, we all thought the worst. And I never knew a judge could convict you for growing just under 1,000 plants and turn around and throw out any time, probation, anything, and tell you to go back doing what you're good at, but just stay within the frames of the law. I thought, my God, this is the first time I've seen the judicial arm treat a criminal properly. Because Matt wasn't a criminal. Matt was just a grower. Are they all making money? So what? The patients are also getting met. Their need and their supply was being met. And there was a lot of risk back then, clearly, for him to go through a constitutional challenge and overturn those laws. Again, people have to remember, it took 16 constitutional challenges to get to where we are today, and I believe it's going to take many more. It'll be 17 once Mr. Conroy files his as a federal constitutional challenge. And if Mr. Paul Lowen decides to file for Mr. Jerry Martin, well, then we'll have 2 constitutional challenges. One will be with respect to mail order. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. But one will be with respect to mail order, which would be the Martin case. And then with Mr. Conroy, he's coming at it from a place of you're omitting medical, and there's no dispensing. There's really no dispensing models for medical patients. If you think about it, the CCBO, if you go through there, there's nothing there. Most people don't really care because they're not medical. You know, most of the country just want to go in and get their weed and get out. That's why there needs to be a separation in dispensing models, and there needs to be a compassionate arm or a compassion model that would work better. And that would also allow for cannabis in all of its forms, in accordance with R.V. Smith, in accordance with every medical patient in this country being able to use cannabis in all of its forms. The case wasn't for all of Canadians, but it was for every medical patient in Canada. And that's important. Cannabis in all of its forms. Not 10 milligrams of cannabis, not 30 milligrams of CBD, not no gummy bears. No, cannabis in all of its forms. So some people might argue, okay, without you're adding sugar and stuff, Jason. Okay, cannabis in all of its forms, hash, live resin. Well, okay, not live resin, rosin. These are the things that they're allowing. We're not seeing a huge difference, and I'm going to be playing a video in a little bit that I played yesterday. Rosin making diamonds. Where are they? Shit. I'm going to find this video here, and I'm going to play it again for you guys, because it shows how you can take and repress rosin, which I didn't know. Repress it multiple times and turn it into basically a white, what they're called diamonds. I haven't put them under a microscope. I haven't seen it because this person lives somewhere else at the time. So I don't even know this gentleman, to be honest. And again, when patients, and this is why I think on yesterday's show I said, guys, reach out to somebody that you might know that is suffering from any ailments, because we're at the end of the lunar cycle, and this is where the light changes. You know, it goes from those long dark nights, which makes the worst time of the year for people with depression or anything else. We're just switching over to that daylight time. So, you know, this is kind of a quasi dangerous time for suicide rates and numbers to go up, just like it is in the fall. There's another spike that happens just in the spring, just before the light. So please pay attention to that, and make sure you share your information. There's so much more we could do with cannabis to help people if the government would just stop arbitrarily setting up barriers and over broad restrictions that makes it so it's impossible for us to help even one another or ourselves. It's right now. I mean, I don't know how many stores are in BC, but there's only so many stores where you can even go buy cannabis, or you can order it online. So arguably, reasonable access is there through the mail. But I don't know if it's reasonable if a person is going to be seizuring and they've say somebody broke in their house and stole all their meds, and this is a patient that suffers from epilepsy, and they need their cannabis on hand. They don't have a week to wait for it to come in the mail. They don't got 4 hours to go drive down a mountain to get to a CCBO that happens to be open because the government screwed up their monopoly. That's what I'm talking about. And it could be your mom, it could be your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, your pops, whatever you want to call them. Point being, it could be your family. So I don't talk enough about that, and I think that it's something we all need to. Yeah, this is the right one. I think it's something that we all need to make sure we talk about and learn about. Now, this is a very short 1 minute fast video on how to make low temp diamonds from rosin. So I said I would touch on this. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but this actually makes me happy because I'm experimenting right now with making diamonds with live resin. So seeing it done with rosin is very interesting. Yeah, exactly, JC. Like, you're in Ottawa, where do you go? Like you can call someone like me, or you can call, one of the different people that are willing to put stuff in the mail, because we see that there's not reasonable, dignified access. And Judge, if you want to throw me in jail because I'm helping somebody else out, not because I want to be a billionaire. If I wanted to be a billionaire, I would be selling a lot of dope, not teaching you guys how to grow your own and save your lives. This is more about teaching people how to live a better quality of life, and also to remember that you don't have to live inside of your illness. You can live outside of your illness, which a lot of people just simply don't see. And I see it a lot. I seen it in Vicky when I first met her. It was a defeatist. I'm stuck in this walker. I can't do nothing else in my life. And in 3 years, she's managed to, bring her life back almost full force. You'll never fully recover from an injury. I mean, she's got permanent damage. But when it comes to confidence, persistence, conviction, to working out and diet to try and live a better life and a better quality of life, she has succeeded in doing that. And hats off to her with that. And again, these are things that I like to talk about with patients. It's like with this here. If your thing at home is to play with cannabis and play with cannabis chemistry, you might want to try one of these things here. But I think it is very important, and I'm going to touch back after this. I just want you guys to see this. I think it's really cool. When somebody told me you can make rosin diamonds, I didn't necessarily, I'm trying to think, okay, I know how I make my diamonds. You got to use airtight seals, and it takes a long time unless you have a purge oven or a vac oven. If you have it, unless you have a vac oven to stick them in, you're really stuck. Waiting 15 to 30 days for your diamonds to flip, unless you do fresh frozen. If you chop your cannabis up and it's frozen and it's really, really good, you can flash that, right? You can run that through your closed loop system, blast it, collect your syrup, and you can then start collecting your diamonds that way. So this is a whole different way. What I like about this way, and I'm just gonna say this, remember, this is what is legal. So this product, though police would arrest you probably and take it into the lab for testing, it comes out to be a white substance from your standard rosin. So all of us have been dabbing standard rosin thinking it's the cleanest and it's the best. It's not necessarily about being clean as in dangerous, but more just clean dabbing. And I've seen Johnny B, a good bro of mine, go back a lot of years. Johnny can separate his dry sift and make it turn white. He won a couple cups doing that, and it's really cool seeing it. So let me just see if I can pull this over here. So this gentleman is Low Terp, he calls himself. I'm not sure you guys can see his YouTube channel up top here. See if I can pull this over here. One sec here, I'll do it over here on the screen. So up here you'll see the YouTube channel, and solving this THCVA separation low temp plates. This is the title of the video. Up here you'll see the YouTube channel. I just want to give a shout out to the people that did this. THCVA separation low temp plates. This is the title of the video. You know what's funny is they don't even advertise themselves, and that's interesting because this has obviously been released recently. It's got 1,100 views or subscribers on here, so it's a newer channel. But 287 thumbs up, that's awesome. 32,000 views, that's amazing. So let's just see how this goes. Open this up here. But 287 thumbs up, that's awesome. 32,000 views, that's amazing. So let's just see how this goes. Open this up here. But 287 thumbs up, that's awesome. 32,000 views, that's amazing. So let's just see how this goes. Open this up here. 287 thumbs up, that's awesome. 32,000 views, that's amazing. So let's just see how this goes. Open this up here. 287 thumbs up, that's awesome. 32,000 views, that's amazing. So let's just see how this goes. Open this up here. 287 thumbs up, that's awesome. 32,000 views, that's amazing. So let's just see how this goes. Pay attention to the lower part of the screen, guys, and ladies, the temperatures is everything when it comes to the final product that you'll see right here. Pay attention to the lower part of the screen, guys, and ladies, the temperatures is everything when it comes to the final product that you'll see right here. Pay attention to the lower part of the screen, guys, and ladies, the temperatures is everything when it comes to the final product that you'll see right here. Okay, welcome back. Let me just make sure I don't got any feedback playing over anything. I still see something coming up on my monitor. So we'll close all this. But no, that's just picking up sound around me. Interesting. Good mic. Good morning, Justin McLeod, Evelyn, Matt. Jeez, man, I love you guys. You guys are always jumping on and supporting. Justin, of course, having met in Vernon, brother, and you drove all the way out from your neck of the woods. Yeah, it's been a journey. And I was also there's a couple ounces here of CBD that we ended up stocking ourselves up with, and yeah. So I thought I'd show that. That's what I'm kind of dabbing on, trying to keep myself calm. I'm a little riled up today. I'm riled up more because I see the culture and what it's doing to people. I bump into different people and I see what literally what they call legalization, what it's done to my friends, and what it's done to people that are really actually good people. They may not be the smartest cats in the world, but they're good people. And they're now lost. They got skill sets. They took lots of risks for years in the cannabis culture, and it's not so much that they're lost. It's more that they can't find a way in the new market. I don't want to necessarily say that they're lost, because that's not necessarily accurate. Sorry, I'm wondering why I can't find myself on YouTube. Just bear with me here for 2 seconds. The other thing I want to talk about too is the CBD molecule. Has anybody looked up what I was talking about on yesterday's show as well, and the day before? We were talking about the industry secrets and stuff that people may not realize. I mean, this looks like 1 ounce of other products, and it's a very heavy molecule, and there's a few things that matters about. People, this does not, when you get stuff that's run differently, okay, and this is 99% pure CBD crystalline food grade. When you have a large, kill sound altogether. When you have a large molecule, it can do a few things, and this is important now. So insider tricks. and tips. May only be a few people watching, but you're going to get the tip, and that's to pay attention to that CBD molecule. Note the weight, note the way the molecule acts when it's combined with different oils, especially if you're making your oils at home. You're going to spend a lot of money on CBD products. Then make sure you make your CBD in the proper manners, in the best possible manners. And what I mean by that is, again, pay attention to, as I said, the weight of the molecule. It might surprise you to take this, throw a couple ounces in a liter of oil, and run it through your magic butter maker for a whole hour. You might be surprised, or not even a whole hour. You might be surprised that you might think that just mixing it, it's going to dissolve. And when you first look at it, it's a molecule that looks like it's clumping up and looking ugly, and some of it's kind of floating on top because it's highly oil. It's a high oil substance, and it's why it's water soluble. It'll float on top of water. But when you drop it in oil, it'll also sort of float, but it'll slowly drop down. And you have to be in tune with that. Failure to be in tune with it could result in again, unbalanced infusions. So if you're going to look for a balanced infusion and want to make sure that you're giving the right amount of CBD in every tincture bottle you make for yourself, it might start with making sure that infusion of CBD is done properly. I'll just put it that way. Oh boy, starting to worry about Vicky's knee. I think I'm gonna have to drive her up to the doctor's, get her some Tylenol. She really went down and she hit her knee just really hard. I could hear it from over here. It's just, we have concussion floors, they call them here. They're basically, if you fall down and hit your head, it's supposed to stop you from basically splitting your head open. But here nor there, it's this is at least it was just her knee, and hopefully there's nothing broken. So far she seems to be okay. She's just in a lot of pain. So if anybody was wondering about that. I pulled a few different videos down in the past few days that we've played, some older videos, and there's also one that I recently edited. I'm just gonna see if I can find it here. There's one that I recently edited because I was in Alberta, of all places, traveling. I think this is it. Yeah. Anyway, we were traveling across the country, Dano and I, and as we were traveling across the country, we were stopping in different cities, different clubs, even people's personal houses, if they wanted us to come over and visit. We did our best to sell, because it was a summer legalization, or sorry, it was I can't remember what we call that, the Summer Liberty Tour or something. I can't remember what we called it, but it was just touring across the country, celebrating the fact that we just won, the Allard trial. That was a big thing for us, so we wanted to go around and share that with everybody, explain what that meant, and I'm not sure which time this was, because I've been to the Calgary Compassion Club Cannabis Club. I always say Compassion Club, but it's the Calgary Cannabis Club. I've been there a couple of times, and I'm not going to get into any of the comments or dramas, so please don't bring them on my show. I know that there was some conflict going on in Alberta. I don't know what it was about. I really don't care. The folks down at the CCC have always treated CNC good, and have always treated my wife and I good. So I certainly endorse, and it's very hard. It's getting harder for us to keep our clans together, our small groups together. Quite frankly, it's getting a lot harder to do that. So and you can see that evident even just in this show. We used to be able to bring 40 people, 30 people together. Our culture has been so broken up that we think that legalization, the government, because they've given us scraps off the table, we feel that that's okay, and we're just going to eat those scraps. And that's not me, but that's what I see around me, and I don't fully understand it. I don't know where people are coming from, what they're thinking. Hang on one sec here. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get Vicky some help here, but there it is. Hey Avery, welcome to the show. You know Justin? Well, Justin is a cool ass cat. I know that much. Had him out here, and hopefully you can make it again for this year's Vernon Cup. I like to go up there every year. Jeff's a great guy. He ran MMJ THC up there in Vernon for years. He worked closely with City Council. Again, another really good people that we should have running these dispensaries and dispensing to people and helping medical patients, but it's not happening because the federal government's legislation that's, again, lent corporations to somehow quantify cannabis and basically somehow standardize cannabis. You can't standardize evolution. When I take plant A and plant B, I get plant C. It's a brand new genotype. Nobody in the world has it. You cannot stop that. You can't patent it, though you're doing it. Legally, you shouldn't be allowed to do it. Cannabis is a species and an evolutionary plant. Hell, even in its own seed set, you could have different phenotypes expressed. So there's a lot to be said about that. And our failure to not talk about it, our failure to not address this lack of education on growing, which is where we're going to come back to when I come back off this commercial break. We're going to go switch over to growing and start talking about cannabis. Cannabis and more cannabis. That's important to me. The reason I say this is because, to me, I don't know. I don't know why that's not allowing me back on my own channel. Yeah, I just bred 2 strains this year, Justin. I bred West Coast Wilcox, which I showed you guys in the tent cam, and that's now growing well. What's good is it if flowers like this high, like it finishes its full auto at this high. So it's like perfect for outdoor. If it works this good outdoor and fits in our season in BC here and works with this equator, man, I got the perfect seed. And I'm just going to, again, back cross them and make another 10,000 seeds and sell them to some seed company, hopefully. You know, seed companies are finding it harder and harder to get their stuff out. But anyway, guys, give me 7 minutes. Please remember to hit the bell if you're on YouTube, and so that you get notified when we go live. I'm going to try and do live shows. Unfortunately, I'm not to the point where I'm setting my alarm yet to come on because I haven't got context-driven shows. I'm just freestyling this shit. So, you know, it's sort of like, you know, it really is. It's just freestyling it. So it's holistically speaking cannabis. And I challenge anybody, come on the show and let's talk cannabis because it makes education worth it. Or post up in the chats. Post up with each other about what we just seen. Talk about the rosin because there's guys in the chat that can make that rosin. Can make rosin diamonds. I was shocked to see that white rosin, to be honest. I was shocked. I've seen it done with the resin glands, and when Johnny B did it last year or 2 years ago and he won at this one event that we were at, I was so proud of him, but at the same time I'm like, damn, you're getting advanced. So I'll be going out to film him for the Coalition documentary in the coming week. He just got back from the Alberta event where Thaddeus got raided, and again, I'm warning everybody to please be cautious. All area crews, be cautious. All area crews, stand together. And all area crews, where possible, build bridges because we only have one another. Don't tear them down because that's what they want. They've steamrolled us, and I've been predicting this since 2012, and I've been fighting the government, but I did predict this. I said it was coming. Now, I did my part in saving the plants for Canada, along with 15,000 of my friends across this great nation, and you know who you are, and I love you for it. And those of you who I've never met, but you took part by donating, thank you, and I love you equally, because collectively we turned over the government's attempt to monopolize this country and remove home growing and ban it permanently. On that note, I'm going to throw on the Calgary visit. This was, again, I believe it was just after the win, or why we needed to keep fundraising. I can't remember which one this is. I was going through some old videos that were unedited footage, so I just grabbed this little short speech I gave when I was there. Yeah, it is what it is. So we'll play it here. 4 minutes, I'll be back, and after a couple more dabs, I will be feeling better. Share this around, please, guys. Please don't spam other groups, but share it around to groups that you attend on a regular basis where they know you, if you feel this is relevant information. And yeah, and we're also going to talk about cannabis and depression. We're going to talk about live resin diamonds. See, we're jumping all over the place here on this show. But we're at the 1 hour mark right now. I would normally kill the job or kill the show right now, but I see that a lot of people seem to be late bloomers. 10:30 seems to be when they get up and they get dressed nowadays. And as disabled patients, I can relate. To be honest, I can totally relate. So, you know, Mr. Tusa giving some free driving legal information. This is probably why the show went so fast, is because I played these videos, some of them early on. But I wanted you guys to see that stuff. That was important, and we can still do that. We can do this all day long if I wanted to. But at this point, again, at this point, if you guys keep logging on, you guys keep sharing this, if our numbers stay the same, then we just keep this going. But let's get some questions, let's get some dialogue, and if you have any questions or dialogue or concerns, please feel free to raise them. If I'd bring you on the show, but you would have to come on through Skype. So if anybody's interested in coming on the show in the future, you would need to have a Skype ability, and I could bring you on the show in that context and be able to interview you through Skype if you live in a different province. And if you live in the Lower Mainland, you can certainly get by for a visit at the studio here and come on the show to discuss either your product or what it is that you're doing in the cannabis culture as we continue to build out. And I'd also note that I was wrong the other day. I thought that cannabis culture was, somebody told me that there's not a lot going on down there, but I see that Jeremiah, most importantly, Jeremiah still got Pot TV going, and that matters to me. It's a flagship here in BC, and respect is given. Like I said, respect is never just granted, it's earned or gained. And Pot TV has earned and gained my respect, and not because of Mr. Emery, but because of their crew, who are extremely strong, extremely endurant, and extremely good activists. And it's really sad to see that we've all been pulled apart. And I don't know what can pull us back together. It makes me often cringe when I know that I killed a coalition along with my board of directors that had 15,000 patients across this great nation that just finished kicking the government's ass in a $1.2 million trial, fully paid for. I often regret that now. But here nor there, you know, I was just one vote in what was a bigger, more serious situation. So here's the Calgary footage. I'm not trying to rush around too much here till I find out what Vicky wants to do here. But if I do jump off afterwards, again, welcome to Cannabis Canada. It's gonna, when it's in in-house studio, what can I do? But share it around. And what I might do today, I have this this kind LED light. It's in the box. It's been tested. Now I was given it for testing purposes. So I'm not really looking to sell it and make a lot of money, and I'm not looking to pay. I got stuck with $1,000 shipping bill because I did you guys remember when we did the I don't know, 12 days to Christmas giveaway a couple years back there. We gave away, I don't know, $20,000 in equipment or $15,000 in equipment, all kinds of different grow stuff. But we gave all that away, and yeah, we gave all that away. It just got it ended up with a big bill. So I'm looking at what to do with this LED light, and if anything, I would suggest checking out CannabisCanadaIncorporated.com and sign up and make sure you're on our mailing list, so that if we turn this into a competition, you'll be given instructions if you want to play in the competition to have your name added to the draw, and the draw. I'm not sure how we're going to do that. I'm going to have to talk with my webmaster on how to do it, because we haven't done a giveaway in a long time. And I think this time the only precondition that I would ask people for is to simply make sure that they are make sure that if you're playing, that you understand you are going to need to pay for the shipping. It's the one thing I'm not going to get caught on again. That, or else I'll ask you to send the shipping costs ahead of time so that I can ship it out. I'm not going to get stung again. I did that on good faith that year, and it was silly me, because 50% of the people paid the money back for delivery and the other 50% didn't. Tis is life, but it was a learning lesson. So we'll see you guys after this short Calgary. This is a 4-minute video, and yeah, I'm just going to play that for now. And when we come back, if you guys are looking for some topics, Justin McLeod, you're much more astute right now and in tune with what's trending on the internet. If you have anything that you suggest that we should talk about, feel free to weigh in, brother. And yeah, I appreciate the help on the show. Thanks. We'll see you guys in about 6 minutes. Okay, welcome back to Cannabis Canada with Jason Wilcox. We are now here at the Calgary Cannabis Club, where there are a lot of people just medicating and enjoying their time. We came down to actually talk about Allard and educate a little bit about liberty and exactly what that means with respect to the win in Allard. A lot of people don't realize that liberty at its core has to do with the right to autonomy. The right to autonomy we all have. It's an international right. That is exactly what Allard was about. So as we go across the country and we're planting the seeds of liberty, we're teaching people, what does liberty mean? What does Allard really mean? It means the federal government of Canada lied, cheated, and stole in an attempt to secure the market in Canada by citing fire, mold, and organized crime. By failing to do so and losing in an uncontested manner, they've opened the door for us to then challenge more and bring in policy in Canada that we could have, where we can all have a free and fair market. I say that term, and people have taken that term and run with it. A free and fair market would have to incorporate licensed producers. As much as I don't like certain Molson Cannabis and Labatt's cannabis companies, we cannot sit there and say patients can't access this or you're a traitor. That's wrong. Patients have a right to choose. There's dignified access. And then there's the issue of whether we want to keep providing for our patients. And I believe that this culture, after being raised under 80 years of reefer madness, we need to continue to do what we're doing here, educating one another, continuing to go across this great nation. We raised $300,000 to take down the federal government of Canada. They spent $1.2 million. Total cost for us was $780,000+ to secure the constitutional right to grow in this country. As a result of Allard, mark my words, I'm on camera, this time next year, you guys will be able to grow in this country as a result of Allard and legalization. Now, looking forward, this is what matters, forward looking. What arises from Allard means that we, the judges, the judicial arm is always on our side, Constitution's on our side. We threw the football back over to the guys who screwed it up and keep screwing it up since 2000, the legislative arm. My fear is they're going to come out, and same with Mr. Conroy, we've had lunch and discussed this, is they're going to come out and they're going to arbitrarily restrict, heavily restrict Allard in any way they can. Now, of course, they can't argue any more fire, mold, and organized crime because they bombed. So the issue of liberty, they can't argue anymore. But they can simply put in unconstitutional caps, which becomes a Section 1 reasonable access issue. And Section 1 of the Charter is just that. It's reasonable access on your right to liberty. I know it sounds sounds kind of silly, but in essence, that's what it means. And personally, I didn't fight to win the right to grow, so they can tell me how many plants I can actually grow. You know, being 6 to 12 or something. That to me is arbitrary. It's unconstitutional. And we cannot continue to talk like we know about this plant while the federal government of Canada says, especially Health Canada, says there's no medical value to marijuana. We have 1 million medical marijuana patients, again, by Health Canada's estimates, as we learned in Allard, that need access. And then you do stupid things like Project Claudia. My own opinion, as time will tell the truth, that was funded. I believe the Metropolitan Police have a big apology, but it takes time to prove these things. But Project Claudia is a prime example of wiping out the old and trying to usher in the new. I've said it on my show for 3 years. This culture is not for sale. You know, we're not just going to sell out.
Sure, some of us will go put on a suit and go work for another company. I won't. I'm not willing to do that. I believe that there's a place for everybody in this culture. I believe that it should be a free and fair market. And I believe the plant should not be governed like a gun unless it can actually hurt someone. On that note, this is Jason Wilcox coming to you live from the Cannabis, again, the Calgary Cannabis Club here. This is my second time coming. It's a great crowd. I'm just going to get back to socializing here with everybody, doing some dabs and maybe grabbing a couple of comments from the crowd. And yeah, stay loving the plant and continue to protect your rights. See you next segue. Cheers. Okay, welcome back to Cannabis Canada with Jason Wilcox. We are now here at the Calgary Cannabis Club where there are...
Alright, welcome back, guys. I had to run around a little bit there. But that was the Calgary coverage. Hopefully I didn't play twice. Jumping all over the place here. 1 minute she's hurting and crying, and the next minute she's laughing and chiving, so you never know what to think. But yeah, I'm buying one of them. That was great. No, this is it, Justin. What we did for that Christmas giveaway, and I think it was the 12 days of Christmas or whatever. Every day we gave away, you know, a more expensive prize, right up to the last two lights, which was a Kind LED light and the King LED light. Now you'd be surprised at how much it costs to ship one of these things across the country. So even though we used a proper shipping thing and we asked it to be COD, somehow if the customer doesn't pay on the other end, it automatically becomes the shipper's accountability, not only for the fact that they didn't pay on the other end, but then you got to pay for them shipping it back to you, and it's really messed up. So I'll leave it at that. But let's talk some cannabis here, because I'm going to start dabbing. I'm dabbing some CBD. Again, this is CBD crystalline, food grade crystalline. People will keep asking me what the difference is what's food grade, and it's in the word crystalline. It's fluffy, it's white, and you can see what it is. It's kind of hard through a jar, but it's a fluffy white a substance. Again, and when you get it 99% pure, I showed a little simple water test that you can just throw this on top. It'll look like snowflakes. It'll repel water, or you could dab it and you'll recognize the taste. Some people snort lines. I know that sounds bad, but you can, because it through the mucous membrane is a good delivery mechanism for CBD. So other people will do that if they're looking to calm themselves down fast. Me, a dab works better for calming myself down fast. But at the end of the day, this is what we use as a base for any of our, at least Vicky's stuff, because really CBD, what we discovered this from the Natural Remedy, the Natural Remedy really helped get Vicky fully off a walker and really discover the wonders of CBD for people that have pain, inflammation, and stuff that normally can't be controlled. And quite frankly, it can't. The pain can't be controlled. I can't remember what they're called. There's a certain section. I'm just trying to find this chat, and I can't find my own chat. There it is. All right. Okay, now I can see a YouTube chat, just so you guys know. Oh man. All right. We do have more patients now under the ACMPR than we did before, and quite frankly, when everybody sees the book and that the lawyers signed off on it, and quite frankly, the documentary that the lawyers are in, where they speak for themselves about the Allard case, everybody in Canada is going to learn that because of that Allard trial, every person in Canada can now grow cannabis, except for our friends in, I think it's Saskatchewan or whoever banned it in their province. It's crazy. I think that that's a constitutional challenge waiting to happen. This is federal legislation, not provincial. There's also a huge one and only time we ever went to the Supreme Court of Canada with the cannabis case was R.V. Smith, and the Chief Justice scolded the Crown and said, "Don't ever bring another cannabis case into our chambers unless it has some substance of criminality. Some substance of criminality. Man, that was the good days. Now they're finding ways to get around each of these. They're getting around them. They're finding their ways. Some of my genetics are available commercially. I don't want to say where live on the air, but they are, and they're actually overseas. And it's not because I sell a lot of seeds. It's only when I breed a certain strain and somebody wants that strain. And if it's a strain that I've bred and I've named, then I will then back cross. It can take 6 months to a year just to get all your back crossing done and collecting all your seeds. It's a freaking tedious process. Have lots of weed for your seed pickers because they got to sit there all day and de-seed weed. That's all they do, because the seeds are worth their weight in gold if it's done right. So it's getting the right genetics. And again, for me, I'm not willing to open up. Like my latest strain that I bred for my lady was West Coast Wilcox. It's an autoflower, finishes about this high. Not a super high yielder, but super high in CBD, and most importantly, perfect for outdoor growing. So you can just go put all your plants, all your seeds down, come back after 30 days, call out all the males. You can spot a male from a female if you're trained in cannabis, and then come back at the end of the season and collect your harvest. Make sure you put in your time release fertilizers and all the other stuff applicable to outdoor guerrilla growing, and find your place, do your thing, and boom. Johnny B said good things this past Sunday on Hash Church. Definitely, I'm sure. Hash Church, honestly, Mark and Johnny, I've known Mark and Johnny for years, and when the coalition was going on, Hash Church formed and formulated, and I thought that was cool. I was so busy raising money trying to fight so we could keep having gardens and people could actually keep doing extractions without being criminals. That was kind of what we were doing. And other people were building out their brands, and one of the best ones was Hash Church, because what Mark did, and I thought it was cool, though Mark was working with the licensed producers, it was kind of cool to see Mark go around the world and start to connect doctors and lab techs and really I often say, who can speak Cannabinese? Now you either got level 1, level 2, level 3, or you're an expert in Cannabinese. I don't know. It could be any of one of them. I'm just saying, Cannabinese. It's kind of like, it's one of these things where people can either speak it or they can't. And some people have good points to make on that. In Hash Church, what I like about it is Mark doesn't allow any misinformation. He's what I really liked about Mark when I met him for the first time many moons ago was his knowledge, pure. He was another bookworm like me and Johnny and others. We were all bookworms back then. I haven't been able to for 5 years because I've been traveling back and forth cross country fundraising. I didn't have time to read books, but I used to be reading nothing but cannabis books and retaining this information, and Mark was doing the same thing, and he just took it a whole nother step further. He got into hashes that people had never seen, the chemistry, and there's a lot to be said there. Johnny, when he was here the other day, we were talking in brief about hey Neil, how you doing? Neil Allard of all people is watching. We're talking about the Allard trial, and one of the lead plaintiff, Mr. Neil Allard, who done a tremendous job on the stand, was on there, and thanks again, Neil. So anybody in the chat that wishes to thank him, please do, because he was the lead plaintiff in Allard. The people funding it was the coalition, but nonetheless, as a collective effort between all of our lawyers, our plaintiffs, all the 15,000 members of the coalition, and the other people that just donated, I often call them the shadow people because they don't know who you are, but I want to thank you. So, and I always take that time out to say thank you because it matters. It matters a lot. But anyway, let's get back to this again with CBD. So I showed a video a little bit earlier where a gentleman turned rosin into just pure white, almost like this, and it was live resin. So I'm not sure how sticky it was. I'm sure the Constitution would be different because this is a powder. It's a 99% powder. I'm sure it would be a little bit different. But but what Johnny did was, his wasn't quite as white as this, but he didn't run it through a lab. He's taught his methodology. Check out Johnny B's YouTube channel. He's taught his methodology online, how to you basically use a static, and you're basically grabbing the glandular head or byproducts. I'm not sure which one you're grabbing when you run the static over, but something gets pulled up and allows that separation, so you have nothing but pure heads. And Mark has done that on his show as well and taught a lot of people. It's huge because that's the future, and that's where I say hats off to Hash Church, and hopefully we can get a studio and some investors and build out some more shows, because from Be Real TV to Hash Church to Snoop Dogg's show to all the different shows that they got going on the internet now, it's no longer a TV thing. It's now an internet thing. So again, I love to have people on that speak Cannabis. I love to have people on. I had Johnny on the other day. We were just screwing around as we were still doing lab stability, or sorry, studio testing right now. But I will be getting out to John's to film them for the documentary, and we'll probably do some horsing around there. But you guys need to paying attention to Rosin Tech and what they're doing with it was just amazing. Not so much. I would just say it was amazing. Like I said, that video, that I've had to watch that video several times. It's only 1 minute long. It's a really short video, but I'm gonna play it one more time here for you guys. Let me just find it here. Rosin. Oh, this is me. Rosin Diamonds. Sorry guys, just bear with me here as I find this one document. This is the one. Yeah, so this will show you a little better. This is the same guy that did the low temp video. If it's on here, I'll play it. Yeah. So let me throw this over so you can see it. So solventless THCVA separation tutorial. You guys feel free to read this. Website's up here. If you want to write it down, solventless THCVA-separation-tutorial. But as we go down, this is what I made the other day at home here, using BHO to get that. I don't know if that's a BHO. This is a dry sieve full melt. So this was done with dry sieve. So I did this with BHO. It looked almost identical. It looks like little diamonds, like little jelly. But as you go down, the gentleman that pressed the video, you can see more of this stuff. The more you press it, and it's strain dependent. Your cannabinoid spectrum, your cannabinoid profile is always going to be different in every strain. So that's why you're seeing these different colors come out. And also, I believe that the colors will have a lot to do with what temperatures you run them at. But yeah, it shows all that. Okay, here's the video. There you go. So we'll be able to show you guys the video here. But yeah, it shows all that. Okay, here's see this. Pay attention to the bottom of the screen. We'll be able to show you guys the video here. But yeah, it shows all that. Okay, here's see this. Pay attention to the bottom of the screen. We'll be able to show you guys the video here. So extremely low press on the first press. See this. Pay attention to the bottom of the screen. We'll be able to show you guys the video here. So extremely low press on the first press. Pay attention to the bottom of the screen. We'll be able to show you guys the video here. So extremely low press on the first press. Pay attention to the bottom of the screen. So extremely low press on the first press. So extremely low press on the first press. All right, well, there it is, guys. So I had to show that video again because it still it blows my mind. Make sure I got no back feed. It still blows my mind when I see that that particular tutorial. So again, seeing dry sift turned into really what we're seeing people go around and call terp sauce. People are doing it with dry sift. They're making diamonds with rosin. And quite a few different things. So again, the extraction game is so big and so broad right now that that's where I need to catch up. Most importantly, in my own opinion, that's where I've fallen behind on. So it's almost like playing music and trying to. I'm getting a lot of friend requests in the past few days. Please join the Cannabis in Canada group or on my public page. That's the best way to get notified. I can't accept. They lock you off at 5,000 friends, and Facebook just doesn't allow you to add any more people. So there's not much I can do about that. Or you can go on LinkedIn. We have it's different. I have 8,000 contacts on there, and it's a much different platform. But they are doing live videos soon, so hopefully we'll be able to stream to LinkedIn as well in the near future.
Oh, that cream actually helped my knee.
Good.
The cream that I made yesterday, oh my god, that was like almost immediate relief. Jesus Christ, I've been through.
What did you make? What do you mean, the high CBD?
Oh fuck, I forgot that I made this 2 nights ago for my eczema. I made a high CBD topical. Oh my god, it was like I can't even guess.
Vicky's just saying. Vicky's just saying like what she did is she forgot last night. She was supposed to go to or she did go to yoga this morning.
Yeah.
But she gets up and she takes one pill, which is like a 90 milligram. 30 milligram. Is it 35?
Yeah.
35 milligram dose of CBD. So normally.
What is that? 100 chunks. You're closer to 70 milligrams. No, you're right.
Jesus, well, make up your mind. All right, so 70 milligrams, whatever, 90, 70, 60, whatever. It is a large dose of friggin' pill that she takes before she goes to do yoga. And that helps her stretch better. She feels it helps her get into a better meditative state. And as I've said many times, if you dab it, you go up, you come down. If you take it in an oil form, then it's going to last for about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. Bioavailability is everything. So putting it in coconut oil or avocado oil, just look up your fatty acids. Look up what oils have the most fatty acids. Those are the oils you should be using. Anybody telling you anything different just haven't done their scientific homework. And if you are going to be using CBD crystalline, remember this is a heavy molecule. There's 2 ounces in this jar. It's a heavy molecule, so it will sink possibly even through certain oils. So when you think you've blended it all up and you've got your infusion done and you let it sit there for an hour, well, your CBD might fall right through to the bottom. And then what you have is an uneven infusion. And some people are going to get like bomb-ass tincture bottle because they got the bottom of the bottle. But then somebody else is going to get ripped off because they didn't get an even infusion. So that's why it's very important to understand the molecule is heavy. This has to be blended and you have to let it sit. Let your oil sit for at least 12 hours. And if you don't see no chunkies on the bottom, then you've blended it. It's dissolved into your oil. This is so oily and it literally repels water so much that this will cut through oil and sink to the bottom. That's how heavy this molecule is. And that's why I was saying earlier, industry tricks and tips here on Cannabis in Canada. No. You think I'm crazy? Test it out. Take next time you make your oil, take a teaspoon. Just start out with a teaspoon. If you don't believe me, drop it into your thing, or maybe a little more than a teaspoon. Maybe say a 1/4 ounce. We usually use 1 ounce at a time when we make a batch. So just say you put a 1/4 ounce in there. Let it sit overnight. Go ahead and mix it up like you would. It'll look infused. You'll say, no, there's no way. It's infused. It's done. And then come down in the morning and look at the very bottom of that Vitamix or whatever it is that you're using. If you're using a magic butter machine, pour it out. But you will be shocked. To see how much CBD is sitting in the bottom of that jar because the molecule did not have a chance to fully break down, was not whipped enough in the oil, was not infused into the oil enough to fully break down the molecule. I know I'm talking a little geeky scientific here, but it's Cannabis. You want to talk real? Let's talk real. Know your shit. I'm telling you now, I made the mistake when I started out by doing just that. I blended it. I thought it was infused like anything else. Common sense would kind of make you think that. But then we didn't have time to put it into our bottles for ourselves because we each have our own bottles. She has her dose, I have mine. But you know, before we filled our bottles, we were too tired, so we just decided to let it sit overnight. You know, oil has a good shelf life, so it's not like it's going to go bad. But anyway, we let it sit overnight, and we came down in the morning, and I'm looking at the bottom, and I'm seeing all these chunkies all around the bottom, and I'm like, man, that's the CBD, and it sunk to the bottom. So it cut through MCT oil and avocado oil, two of the highest fatty acid oils on this planet, and available in your retail store. The reason I'm talking about this is because I think that I may, my earlier tincture bottles, Vicky often said, why isn't this one working? It's not working anymore. Now it's making sense to me why some of them blew her socks off. She goes, wow, this is like really, really good oil. It's because that was the stuff that the CBD all sunk to the bottom, and that was the bottle that got poured last. So that was the strongest bottle. The bottle that was poured first had the least amount of CBD. So she had an uneven infusion. Yeah. We want to have an even infusion so that nobody gets ripped off for what they're paying for, and two, you the patient doesn't get ripped off. Yeah.
That's 1,000 milligrams in there.
So that's 1,000 milligrams. You can see in the bottom here, even along here, any sort of mixture, and that's 1,000 milligrams of CBD that's got to go into jars this morning. But you'll see in the bottom here,
nothing.
If you do this with, again, let your CBD sit, and this is avocado oil, one of the thickest triglycerides and other oils that are in there. That oil with CBD, this molecule can
go through that.
It takes all night.
Yep.
But it sinks and it sinks and it sinks, and you think it would dissolve and break apart, but no, it's so strong. It doesn't only repel water like I showed in the water glass test, so you guys can test purity. It's funny, somebody said to me, well, how does that prove there's no pesticides or residuals? I'm like, okay, it went through a lab, it's been processed, it's 99.5% pure, so residuals and pesticides would have come up on the test, don't you think? So I just wanted to touch on that part too, because it was kind of funny thing, and I had to stop and think about it, because I was thinking, I don't know if they test for residuals, and I got to start really looking at this, because I don't want to undermine anybody. I don't want to say that I know more than you when I don't. We are studying CBD out the yin yang. I got to pull up this email, Vicky. We found this article. We found this article on CBD, and I got it in my Gmail here. And this article actually gives you a lot of information that's relevant to CBD. Most importantly, I want to just share. We should be getting this stuff up on our website. My problem is I don't run my website, and getting content up to our website is becoming, again, when you're a one-man show, just doing the show, being the show host is hard enough. Then running the boards, running the messages, trying to keep up with the chats, it just becomes, it's stuff that is usually a 2 or 3 man team or a 5-man team, not a 1-man team. So it does get a little tricky, but we want the information out there, and we want it out there right. So I appreciate the people that have bared with me over the years, but you're going to see me come back like a bat out of hell. When you get sick, you get sick, but when you get better, you remember who was there for you when you were sick, what they did, how they acted, and then you come back full force. I didn't get to where I was by being friggin' Mr. Nice Guy. I got to where I was by making sure I was accurate, sustained, and committed to whatever project I took on. Quite frankly, succeeded in both. I've yet to fail. I knock on plastic. CBD. I sued the Abbotsford Police. I restrained the federal government, put them on trial, kicked their ass. And I've also filed a privacy case for 42,000 medical marijuana patients in Canada, where you're all going to get a $5,000 or $10,000 check. I don't know what you're going to get, but you know what the settlement is what it's going to be. The reason it's taking so long, I'm assuming, is because the settlement's going to be nice. But you know, we'll find out. We'll find out what that is when the time's right. There, molecule. Okay, so I'm going to send this over, and we can go through this together. Okay, so cannabidiol, CBD molecule, the major non-psychoactive component of cannabis. So this is important, non-psychoactive, because it goes through the CB2 receptor cells. I talk about this so much on our show that unless you're an alien, this is medicinal for you. So this is important, non-psychoactive. But as we go through it, I want you guys to understand there's all these different things, including the chemical and physical properties of the cannabidiol CBD molecule. Cannabidiol is insoluble in water. Now, what did I show in the water test? That it floated on top of the water. That's right, insoluble. But soluble in organic solvents such as puricane or hexane. So if you're going to do a butane extraction, fine, or along those lines. However, I would also argue that the molecule will break down when it's at the right thing. So at room temperature, I'll show you guys where I'm reading from. Also argue that at room temperature, colorless crystalline solid is strongly basic media and presence of air. It is oxidized in I can't read that word. Under acidic conditions, it crystallizes to THC2. THC2? I know, you guys. It's confusing. I can't read that. Anyway, the synthesis of cannabidiol has been accomplished by several research groups. Now, these are the formula, pharmacological profile, and mechanism of action of CBD. Now, remember, we're not supposed to have CBD crystalline. This is not. You're supposed to have a lab to do this. So I'm not going to go any further than that. But I wanted you guys to see that. Here's the most importantly here. I'll highlight the article up top. It's the worldmolecules.com, drugs, and then going to cannabidiol. I was doing some molecule research, that's why you hear me talking all this geeky, I have to catch up with chemistry. Here they talk about side effects. Now this is GW Pharmaceuticals. I talked about this on my show the other day. They were the very first, and again, while we were still prohibited to have cannabis in this country, and it was called, now in GW's books, it's called cannabis. It's not called marijuana, but it's the first pure cannabis derivative. Just basically cannabinoids and oil that you spray under your tongue to stop a seizure. But that was the first medical product made. Bam, there it is. So this product and the cost of this product, I mean, honestly, you have to buy about 6 bottles for it to do anything to you. The reason I say this, Phil Lucas, the vice president of Tilray, when he was running the Vancouver Island Tobacco Club before legalization and all these LPs, he replicated side effects, and GW Pharmaceuticals actually put a cease and desist order on us for using their product because it was so easy to make, but they were charging so much to take, and it was wrong. But they hit us with a cease and desist order to not do it, and that just gives you an idea. For people to think Big Pharma's not in this, this was years ago. I wish it gave the year that it was, because this is the first one. I mean, before this, they had Miranol, they had Sesame, and you could take that, and that shit's synthetic THC. And the first pure THC derivative was Sativex. So you can continue to go down with it, but again, I don't know why they're even bringing Sativex up when it doesn't really talk much about the CBD. I guess it does in the phase 2 testing. You can read through this article. I'm not going to get into it. It gets a little geeky, and all these references will click you to additional articles. If you're worried about neuroprotection, here's the neurological disorders. So how does the molecular structure work with the neurological system? Here's an abstract for you. If you're into this thing, go ahead and do it. As I said, here's the website up top, highlighted in blue. Here's an abstract for you. You can go to any of these, and they'll link off to each other. So the best best one to go to would be worldmolecules.com. Once again, worldmolecules.com. You can look up the molecule of CBD, molecule of THC, molecule of CBG, CBN, molecule of fucking blah 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 blah. I can go on because there's 100 phytocannabinoids that the government just wants to pretend don't exist, it seems. Otherwise, they would have more funding and research into cannabinoids and the use of. So that's another thing that I wanted to talk about too. So yeah, and I'm going to start putting it out too. Please check out Cannabis in Canada, the Facebook group, where I'm not sure what's happened, but somehow we
Facebook purge. We figured it out, remember?
Oh yeah, the Facebook purge. People brought this up yesterday because we went from 13,000 members right down to 10,000 members.
Well, we were lucky. You know what that represented?
I don't even know what the hell happened.
It represented, from what I understand.
I thought it was a mass exodus from our group.
Well, no. What Facebook did is, what they went in, they took away your dead accounts, or I guess like, basically bots or inactive accounts. We were getting a few thousand. That's not bad.
Well, I guess so. I didn't know you could make bots or fake. Well, I guess you could just sit there and make fake accounts all day, but making 10,000 fake accounts just to have.
Well, that is just inactive people in the group. So people who weren't active in the group, Facebook just deleted them all.
Oh, you mean like if they if they just closed their account maybe and then they just purged it, that would make sense to me, because they wouldn't want to take up a lot of their server space if the person has closed their account. They would want to then delete that stuff or back it up onto a different drive so it doesn't bog down the server. That would make sense. Videos looping with another sound. Sorry, that should fix it. What's going on here? I don't get that on, so we're doing fine. Is there still looping? Can you guys give me a thumbs up, please? Just hit the thumbs up if the sound's good. I'm pretty sure it's doing okay, but it's not always easy to tell from here. Yeah, inactive members get removed by Facebook. No, that was a proper low temp. I suck at these. I get Vicky to baby dab me sometimes when nobody's looking. I'm like, honey, can you dab me? Because I can't dab myself. Because I always screw up getting just that right temp and cap. But that was the CBD and live resin mix. That was interesting. But yeah, that would make sense, the Facebook purge, because I looked at our analytics and I'm like, oh my God, it's since I founded the group, I haven't seen such a mass exodus. So I went into all the analytics to make sure there was no saboteurs that somehow got in and was able to delete a bunch of members. And then I'm like, okay, it's not that. Then what the hell is it? And I didn't know about this Facebook purge. So thank you, everybody, for letting me know. It actually helps. Yeah, I get that part. It'll loop because I think I left the. I'm thinking, Justin, that it's just because I left the you're right, the YouTube thing going, and I forget, it just picks it up automatically because it's in my web presenter, and I'm trying to get into my own live show into the chat, and it's frustrating as shit that I can't get in there. And I'm not talking about just Rosin diamonds today. Maybe I need to go on this one. There we go. All right, Bob Dog, it's good. It only happens when you play another video or go to another source. Thanks, guys. And what that tells me is that I need to be using a different mic. You see, I can't. Well, I guess I could show you by doing. I'm all out of USB ports, but I can just show you guys a general idea of what it looks like just around a station, but you can see how complicated it can be with the layering. If you work in video editing and stuff, then you're used to this stuff. As a show host, I'm used to focusing on my guest and focusing on the audience. and it's very hard. It's like trying to ride a bike, juggle, and have a conversation at the same time. It's just it's extremely hard. It take a lot of practice. So I'm trying to use a mouse that obviously won't work, because I just took out its ability to work. Welcome to the Stoner Show with Jason Wilcox. All right, at work. Oh shit! Knocked my rig over. Yeah, I know. It's a little shitty red eye rig. See that little fucker? But anyway, let me just fix the size of this. Oh man, I just gotta fix the size of my thing here, and then I'll show you guys a little bit around the station here. Oh, like that. Yeah, that's better. I'll throw this over. Bam. Alright, so you see my ugly mug. Okay, so as we circle around, you get this ugly station back here. Normally headphones for quality testing, and they're not cheap headphones, if you look at the name. So you go through here. This is your ATM machine. You can run up to 8 cameras if you want to run 8 cameras. Usually I run 2. Today I'm only running 1. But this is just a webcam that I'm holding in my hand, similar to this one. Where is it here? Right there. Very duplicate to that one. So these are the little webcams you can also use, and they work great. But you can see here is desktop presenter, or sorry, this is my secondary screen. This is a show that we're doing right now. So you can see how clicking off of my mic is very easy. So I have to relayer this all and reset up a new show that will work a little more functionable. And then I move over to this computer when I want to operate any of my online controls, converse with the chat, as well as look for media articles. And backup is over here to watch statistical data and analytics as they go through, and to be any messages that might come in that are applicable. So just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like from here. Versus your side of the show there. So we got rid of that. I can unplug this, and that's another way too. Some people might wonder, well, Jason, why don't you just throw this on? It's because YouTube will stream in 4K, and I will have the equipment one day to stream in 4K. Right now I can't stream in 4K, only for one reason, because this machine is a little outdated. It's a Blackmagic. It's a very expensive machine, but it's so outdated that you can't really do the same.
Well, and because the world doesn't really see in 4K, it's not worth re-upping on that machine yet.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm also saying is there's though YouTube can stream in 4K and we can film in 4K, this camera right now, I had to set it back in order for it to work with this equipment. And you guys can't see, there's another little Blackmagic machine back here that there. So there's all these little, that's another $500 part. So there's all these little parts that make up a studio. Now, aside from having proper sound barriers around me, you know, egg cartons on the wall, whatever, aside from having a proper sound barrier, then that would be it. That's really all I need. Leah, yes, I'm ready to take your call if you want to give me a call, brother, and I will help you out to the fullest extent that I can, as always. And if you're interested in investing or working with Cannabis in Canada or with me directly, let me know, because we're just now looking to open the company up. Either we have an option to do a couple of different things. I'm not going to talk about my business model online, but that's just stuff that's opening up, and there's different opportunities. So this 4K thing, we were at the store the other day, and I was looking at the new super TVs. I was like, damn, that's some amazing color. But at the same time, YouTube's going to stream what it is. I wanted to get you guys quality sound. I think what most is important, dedication, commitment, and reliability. That you guys know that you can come, that the information that you're getting from us is accurate. And I just wanted to show you what my 11 years has got me. It hasn't got me a lot when you're a disabled patient. You have to save up for every single little piece to make your studio work. And if something goes down, like my second camera went down, it's another 4K Sony camera. It's $1,000 camera. I have to get a new charge cord. So it's a matter of phoning Sony and ordering a new charge cord. Wow. But you know what? Without that, it could shut down my show. If this camera goes down, you know, I'd have to go to webcams. I'd be like Pot TV. You know, I don't want to do that. I want to try to shoot for the stars. I believe that if shows like Be Real TV and other shows like that are able to be successful, why can't we? We're the footprint. This is Canada. This is B motherfucking C in the 604. If anybody can talk Cannabis out here, it's BC. Who can promote your products and get your shit out there? The people in the country. So it's really a matter of just shaping up that business model, getting my own self together, and getting back to business and what I used to do. And one thing, like a lot of people point out, I give a lot away. I give a lot of time away. I do 2-hour shows for no reason, free content. That managers would say, "Hey, you could have made that into 5 shows. We could have made 5 times the money." And I don't make any money off these shows right now. So it's more about connecting with my audience, if there is an audience. At one time I had 40,000 people watching a video in a weekend because it was about growing, and I was solely had a topic-driven show about growing. Now that we're holistically talking cannabis and we're covering everything, from extractions to germinating seeds to growing, to trade shows to cannabis cups to whatever, we're covering holistically cannabis in the country of Canada. In lies our name, Cannabis in Canada Incorporated. Thanks, Justin. I know you guys, man. I got some. I've been blessed after Allard to have met some really, really good people, really dedicated and loyal people, and people who understand that some of us are medical patients and we're not always on our A game. Sometimes we're on our B game or our C game, and even worse, my D game, which puts me in jail. I think that's important because I've been blessed to have these. I've often said, if you can have 5 friends in your life, my father used to tell me this, at the age of 45, if you have 5 good friends that you can trust, then you're blessed in life. I'm blessed to have some associates and friends in my life that some I would follow over the cliff, and some that I'm blessed to know and trust, and some who shared their experiences with cannabis with me, like I have with you. And that's what this is about: sharing, caring, educating, medicating. No more provocating. We can't provocate. We can't brand bash. If we keep jumping on each other's little scraps off the government's table, then we're no better than when the English were. You might as well watch Braveheart. We're basically the Irish and the Scottish in this situation, and the English have already invaded and taken over. Now, can we fight back? We did. We fought back. We took our gardens back. We're going to go and fight now for our compassion clubs and say we want them back. But I'm a medicinal activist. I'm not a recreational activist, but I am a cannabis activist, because I don't believe that there's such a thing as recreational. I believe cannabis is medical for everybody based on the CB1, CB2 receptor cells, as noted in that recent article I just read. It's now becoming more and more common knowledge because more and more of us are talking about it, and we're not allowing it to be suppressed and silenced, which often happens. We often see our shit get shut down, suppressed, silenced. People do not want us talking about this. You gotta remember when we did Allard, they hacked John Conroy's server. They hacked our server at the Coalition. When I got examined during the privacy lawsuit, I got examined by the Crown, and I had Ward Branch, a branch of McMaster. He's now a Supreme Court judge, but he was sitting beside me. He was my lawyer instructing me. So 50% of the questions I was told not to answer. You want to know why? Because they were about us. When we were a coalition, they wanted to know, how did you do this? They figured there had to be an illegal component or some investor or some backer in the background. They couldn't believe that just a bunch of patients empowered each other to act and raise money to fight back against the federal government of Canada, because they knew it was the right thing to do. And they knew that without their plants, they would have nothing. And they would have to rely on what we see now, the CCBO bullshit. You don't know. It's hit or miss what you get. It's prepackaged. You can't see what you're buying. You don't know until you open the jar. So, yes, Peter Cole. This is important. Canada right now, it's quasi almost no law on CBD. They have not legally addressed CBD as a drug yet, or as a non-psychoactive drug, whatever. I'm not sure how they're going to classify it, or as a food substance. But CBD has been FDA approved around the world, and I've talked about this on the show because this is pure what I'm not supposed to have. You know, I'm a medical patient. They can't stop me because it's a form of cannabis in accordance with R.V. Smith. This is cannabis in all of its forms. So fuck you, government. But anyway, that being said, you're not supposed to have this stuff. This is pure CBD isolate. This is stuff that you're not supposed to have. Only they're supposed to have, so they can sell it back to you at 10 milligrams per vial instead of the 1,000 milligrams per vial we give you. That's my problem with the overregulations that the LPs face, because it's not just them. See, that's why I say there's no us and them. They're arbitrarily and in my own opinion, often it's very overbroad for them to be able to operate their business or even work with us because of this criminal record thing. A lot of the guys from the previous years have criminal records for growing cannabis or using it, especially people who have been doing it a long time. So they can't get in because of security clearances. Security clearances is a freaking cannabis. I think, you know, the employer should be able to choose based on the criminal record and whatever that might be. You know, it's unfortunate that some people can't grow cannabis because they smoked it one day. You know, if that's a charge, a previous charge of smoking cannabis, and you went to jail or even got a fine, and it's just on your or probation, and it's on your record.
You're coming up on 2 hours, son.
It's possible to grow cannabis anywhere, Peter. You need to build a grow room and climate control your room. For Cindy Colts, microbreweries, I'm not going for one. So if that says anything, I believe if you have the money, if you have the land, and quite frankly, a lot of people don't know this, but licensed producers, they give out these papers that are to do business with papers. So it means that they have an agreement with you, verbal agreement, and paper agreement that they'll work with your company, and that will help give you the notch above getting a microbrewery versus other people. There's different things. I wish that co-ops and I wish that people could do things differently, but they're not. They're forcing people into different situations. Well, I definitely want to be in on that, Lee, for the consulting, because if you want to do a studio here in Vancouver, let's do it. Let's rock it. Let's show people what it's made of, because honestly, now the stars are starting to come to town, and there's no reason we can't throw down. It's just this is my own condo where I'm doing my show right now, so it makes it a lot harder to just have guests over. You don't tend to open your house up just to anybody, so that's what makes it awkward, but we are looking to that. So anyway, I look forward to the conversation. Now, growing in a cold environment. If you're growing in a cold environment, you're going to have a heating system in your room. So you're going to have to heat your room up. You're going to want to have your room around 25 degrees Celsius at all times. You can go down to 21 if it's forced to. But if you drop much lower than that, you're going to stunt your plants and you're going to stress them and potentially turn them into hermaphrodite because it's too cold. So any grow book, and they're available openly online now. George Cervantes' grow book is available for free now online, and that has everything you need to know about climate control. Just go to the section on climate control or Google cannabis climate control. How do I climate control my room? Google that, and you'll get all the answers you need how to grow in a cold environment, because I tell you, I live in Canada and it gets motherfucking cold up in the mountains and back east in Ontario and further east to Newfoundland. So on that note, if we can grow here, you can grow in Ireland, my friend. And I know that they're opening up global legalization, as I said in 2012, and you guys all thought I was like John Trammell and I need a hard hat. No, I don't, because I'm accurate. I told you guys we're going to legalize globally. There's one other thing, and I'm going to brag about this, because when the World Health Organization finally, it took them years, and I was like, man, I'm looking like this retard that doesn't know what he's talking about, and it was really bugging me. But the World Health Organization finally came out and reclassified cannabis to be what? Medical. And what are you? You're non-medical. So the government can tax you. How you feel about being a sheep now? Because they're the shepherd and you're the sheep. And they're taking your shit. And they're convincing you of something that's not true. They're convincing you that you're a non-medical patient. But the World Health Organization just classified cannabis as health. As medical. So with a reclassification, how could you possibly be non-medical if the World Health Organization says it's medical? Lawyers, please step in any time and address this issue. The World Health Organization supersedes any given country because they're the governing health organization of the world. And if they say cannabis is medical, then how in the hell can you continue to tax our civilians and tell them they're non-medical, like they're freaking aliens with no CB1 and CB2 receptor cells? They don't have an endogenous system. Their mothers never gave them cannabinoids in their breast milk. No, that didn't happen. Biology didn't happen in Canada. It just happened everywhere else around the world, right? Oh, man. I wish any lawyers listening, get on this. I look forward to talking to Paul Lowen. I might bring this up because I just kind of brainstormed on this now. I'm like, yeah, I've been waiting for this to come, and there was a reason I was waiting. Because once that classification of medical came in, it allows medical legalization around the world, but it also stops the Canadian government. I was looking for how I could stop them. It stops them right there. Activists, lawyers, people who have lawyers, call your lawyer and ask them. Because if you're having trouble getting your medical license, and Health Canada is screwing with you, and they want to keep screwing with the medical patients of Canada, I say we crush this program once again. We crush the Cannabis Act of Canada with the World Health Organization's release that cannabis is medical. Because over and over and over in the Cannabis Act, it reads non-medical. That you're all a bunch of non-medical users. And that's wrong. Anyway, food for thought, guys. Jump on it. Get on it. Talk about it. Talk to people. Read about it. Because it's not just me talking. It's you guys. And when I say you guys, I mean it's our country, our nation. If we truly love our people, we truly love our nation as a free and democratic society, this information needs to get out. And we can't sit back and say the World Health Organization that governs the body says it's medical, but because Canadian government says it's not, because they're a bunch of retards that have no medical experience, they're not the governing body, and Health Canada has to fall in line with the WHO. Now how we're going to make them do that comes next. This is not checkers. This is chess, motherfuckers. Don't ever forget it. There's a war going on, and Allard was just a battle in a much bigger war. Just because we legalized doesn't mean that the criminalization of innocent people has stopped. On that note, this is Jason Wilcox signing out for today, and we'll see you on tomorrow morning's show where we continue to talk holistically all that's cannabis in the country of Canada.